Hello, my crafty friend, and thank you so much for joining me in today's flip through of my newest little junk journal that I'm calling, for obvious reasons, the Pretty Pink Princess. So this journal was entirely inspired by the piece of sari trim that I've used to make the cover. I've had this beautiful trim in my craft stash for over a year now, and I've been hoarding it and admiring it from time to time and imagining how I would like to use it as a book cover. So I've been tempted every now and then to just cut the circles out and use them as pockets in larger projects or as part of a textile collage, but for some reason I just felt like I had to use it to make a little mini book instead. And yeah, look at how cute that little mini book is with the pretty pink wheel on the cover. So it took me a bit to figure out whether I wanted it to be kind of a themeless, just pink book full of pink things, or whether I wanted to give it a theme, which I kind of like to do with my craft projects. And so I've settled on something kind of in the middle. So it's mainly themeless, just a lot of things that I think are pink and pretty, but I decided that for the ephemera I would do kind of an international princess theme, so a princess vibe. And the very first princess we encounter on the journal card that I've clipped to the cover for now is this beautiful, she looks to me like a Rajasthani Indian princess. And she's holding a lotus flower, which symbolizes purity and overcoming obstacles, being in the chaos of the world, but unfazed by it, untouched by it. So the kind of purity of spirit that we all maintain when we go through struggles in life and we go through difficulties, but we retain our grace, our composure, our beauty, our uniqueness. And so the Pretty Pink Princess here is basically that lotus spirit within you, within me, within all of us. So it's meant to symbolize not some external monarchy or some higher appointed, allegedly, power over us. It's meant to represent that inner nobility, that grace that we carry when we live our lives in a princessly sort of a manner. So I've printed this on some heavy cardstock, decorated it with some sari trimmings that I felt kind of match what she's wearing, and then put some thrifted jewelry pieces onto it just to give it that special bling factor. I love this piece from a broken earring with that really pale pink gem on top and the clear one on the bottom. And then this sari trim is held in place using an earring, and it has kind of a pinkish purple color to it. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but in person it's a really beautiful purpley pink. And then the back I just distressed with some distress ink to give it that vintage vibe. And then I covered the back of the earring with another snippet of sari trim. And so that's pretty. And then the charm that's dangling on the cover. So up until yesterday, I was planning to make a boho tassel or a boho bead to dangle from here using some pink ribbon or some fun sari trim. But yesterday on a road trip to the mountains with my mom and my auntie, we of course went thrifting as we do for craft supplies. And I found a pink necklace that had this as like the central pendant drop. And I just realized whatever I had planned to put as the book jewelry on the cover of this book wasn't as good as this, with all the baubles, and even the back looks nice. Like I like the way they accented the metal with kind of a crinkle motif. The bead caps are pretty. So yeah, whoever gets this book, you can do with the dangle what you will. You can either keep it on the cover or take it off and use it, like clip it to a purse. Wouldn't that make a fun purse charm? You could wear it as a pendant. it's attached to the clip here just with the split jump ring, so you could easily pry that open with jeweler's pliers and yeah, wear it on a chain. Do as you will. I like to put a lot of things in my journals that could be repurposed, and that way you can either keep all the ephemera together or use it in your own crafts. So the closure, it's pink elastic. I felt like it had to have something really fancy to not to be overwhelmed by the really fancy cover. So I've put some gold trim and a beautiful pink plastic kind of an earring medallion. And I felt like that kind of matches the wheel to the wheel, the chakra to the chakra. It has a lot of motion in it because of the way these marquise cut faux stones are positioned. They kind of look like they're spinning, and that's just a lot of fun. So yeah, when you open the book, you can just flip that to the back. And now let's get inside. So I stuffed this one full of goodness, if you haven't already noticed that. A lot of crafters on YouTube will tell you, like, making a mini book is not actually easier than making a large book. Like, in some ways it's more of a challenge because you have to print all your ephemera to a reduced scale and figure out what size you want it and working small. But I just love the way a mini book looks, so to me it's worth the work. As always, the book has bluebirds of happiness. 2 of them made it into this one on these journaling cards that I made by printing out some pretty teacups. Every princess needs her afternoon tea, right? The book is lined with this hand-stamped khadi paper from India with another kind of pink wheel motif to match the cover, and some pink sari trim pockets. So yeah, these just sit inside. You can use them as journal cards. You can write your goals, write the date that you start the book on one of them, or you could use them as little gifts for Happy Mail. This first page was a piece from a player piano music roll. And if you ever work with this stuff, remember that it reads bottom to top. So it says, "She's my little queen." So cute. I made like a little mini tuck out of a heart that I took from one of the printables made by the Paper Cameo. And let's just put into there another little printable piece. This is a printable of a Chinese motif with such a beautiful pink flower in the center, backed just with a little enlarged print, part of a Persian carpet. So you could use that as a tab or write on it and do whatever you like. The back is decorated with a pretty pink Queen Elizabeth stamp, and I think it's a fun one because of the dragon in the upper left-hand corner. This page is more hand-stamped, handmade khadi paper from India, and the trim is just this really gorgeous kind of shocking pink, super bright pink, kind of a tassel trim. On the back, there's a pretty flower sticker that I bought years ago at the dollar store. I actually bought that to use in gift wrapping, but when I was going through my stash trying to figure out what to put in this little book, I realized it would be such a perfect little tuck spot, and it has so much dimension. Like, you could put papers between all the petals if you choose to. Just really pretty. I've decorated it with a couple of vintage Nabob coffee coupons. I think these are so much fun. I found them at a local antique shop and just adore them. I think it's so cool that there's like a little turbaned genie as the spokesperson for Nabob coffee. So yeah, those just stick there. This page is Sears wallpaper sample from a wallpaper sample book from 1928. It has really lovely silver iridescence when the light hits it just right. On the other side of that, I made a pocket using some of the happiest pink and yellow flower trim I've ever seen. And I feel like that is the perfect place for this princess to live. So personally, I would keep her here, but if you like how she looked on the front cover, you could glue her there permanently or just clip her there. but I think that's where I would keep her. This page is vintage French playbook. I made a little upper tuck pocket using this sari trim tab, and I put a couple of stamps into that pocket that you can keep, give away, whatever, glue them down, use them to decorate your journal, whatever you like. I thought this one was really funny because it shows this beautiful ballerina wearing such a gorgeous pink tutu. It has that cameo that's silvered in the upper left, and the postmark that's going across the stamp says properly dressed. And of course, if we're thinking in terms of letter mail, that means this package had adequate postage. But it's kind of funny because it makes it seem as if they have deemed the ballerina to be properly dressed in her pink tutu. So I just thought it was a funny and pretty little detail. And of course, if we're talking about pretty princesses, Princess Diana comes to mind. Not everyone is into British royal history, and maybe it would be weird to keep a souvenir of a doomed marriage, but it's still a beautiful old stamp, and if you choose to keep it, it would look really cool glued down into this book. But yeah, whoever buys this book can make those decisions, of course. The pocket on this side of the page has just the prettiest pink flower embroidered into it. That's also an upper tuck. We can put this cool old train ticket from Sri Lanka into it. I like to keep a little stash of those next to me when I do my journal flip throughs, so if there's any pocket left empty, I've got something to put into it. This little flip page is some ledger paper from the 1960s. It has pretty pink and blue line grids on it and just gorgeous old handwriting. People's penmanship in the past was really precious. The page next to it is something from one of my recent thrifting finds. I found this book it's like a souvenir book of the Palace of Versailles, and it was really water damaged and falling apart, so I bought it and took it apart just for the pretty pages that could be salvaged. And this sitting room with that ornate chandelier and that fancy painting with the cute little cherubs, and of course the pink drapery and pink furniture, just felt like it would be the ideal sort of a sitting room for a pretty pink princess. On the other side of that page, I decided, like, instead of keeping the details in this book exclusively pink, I wanted to throw in other colors just so it doesn't get boring. And I layered these two pages next to each other because that kind of olive green in the drapes here goes so well with the olive green leaves behind that pink flower there. And then another Queen Elizabeth stamp, just because it's such a beautiful shade of pink. And that's also a tuck spot. So how about a little sample of this pretty sequined and embroidered mini flower trim? I know that whoever buys little journals like this is obviously crafty like me, or else they wouldn't be watching junk journal flip through videos. So I do love to include bits of ephemera and bits of trim that can be used in their own crafting. So I mean, you could turn this into a tab on the side of one of the pages or decorate an envelope with it. There's so much that we can do with sari trim scraps. And so this is a page from an embroidery magazine from the 1960s, March 1961 to be exact. I just noticed that. And it's genuine. That's not printed. That's a real vintage page. On the other side of it, I made a little pocket of Radha and Krishna, incarnations of Vishnu and Lakshmi in Hindu tradition. And of course, they fit the theme of the book because of the pretty pink that they're in. And in that pocket, I put a sticker that I printed of the goddess Saraswati. So this is on sticker paper. but you could peel off the backing and stick that down onto any kind of decorative paper or cardstock if you'd like to make it into a journaling card, or you could literally stick her down in the book and build a collage around her, do whatever you'd like with it. But I personally love to keep images of Saraswati in all the journals that I work in and all the journals that I make when I remember to, because she is the goddess of art, culture, wisdom, and music as per the Vedic tradition. And so she helps us overcome writer's block, stay creative, be inspired, be divinely guided in the work that we do. And also she's just so beautiful to look at, isn't she? So this page is a really fun pocket page, kind of a tuck spot that I've made out of beautiful embroidered sari trim that has these pretty pink flowers with little jeweled centers and such gorgeous green vines going down the middle. So what's fun about a sheer pocket like this is that whatever you put inside, you'll be able to see through to it, and that kind of looks cool. So I put something just neutral behind it, some strips of coffee dyed ledger paper, graph paper. And on the top page, I put like a little cluster of other papers and pink fabrics, including this snippet from a vintage scarf. And that way there's something fun and textural kind of sticking out the top. But of course you could use those as journaling pages, or you could collage over them. It definitely doesn't need to be kept where I put it, but just a fun page. The other side of this page is this pretty pink coffee dyed paper. I put another snippet of these pretty flowers as a tuck spot, and into there I distressed a printed image of a beautiful Japanese woman in a pink kimono. Pretty, I think that's a chrysanthemum, just a gorgeous pink watercolor flower, cute little dragonfly. On the other side, there's another beautiful Japanese woman in a pink kimono, and the paper has like a cherry blossom motif. So I put a little stack of tiny cherry blossom note papers, and these would also be cute in a collage or for some tiny journaling. Perfect for writing an affirmation or a mantra, just something that you want to keep. And then these pages are from an antique book. I wish I knew what the script says, but I don't. So if anybody ever sees this and you can read characters, I would love to know the language and what it's about. It could be grocery lists, it could be a political slogan, it could be a play, it could be a kid's story. I really just don't know, but I think it's beautiful. This page is from a vintage book about rocks and minerals. So I chose it because one of the sedimentary rocks there is pink. This is just hand-dyed paper, coffee dyed, and I dyed it. It's a piece of linen textured paper, and I dyed it with other papers. And so the ink from those papers kind of bled through and gave it that look, which I think is nice. And that's another piece of that same page. The upper tuck here is just some lovely pink and gold Eastern Opulence paper pack paper. I think they discontinued that pack, but I bought out what I could find. And then just another fussy cut sari flower there. A little journal card made out of some pretty scrapbooking paper. I love the pink butterfly, just distressed on the back with some ink to make it look vintage again. But yeah, I should have mentioned this earlier, but when I make books like this, I love for them to be kind of a 50-50 balance of like fun, vintage things, pretty images, but also lots of space to actually write, draw, collage, journal, document your life, compose poetry, you know, do what you like in a book. So yeah, it's always It's always my creative goal to stuff it full of really fun stuff, but also leave room for journaling. I love this page. This is kind of a periwinkle blue paper that I coffee dyed with a stencil. And then I just did some paint play on the back, did some gold markings, did some blue stenciling, did some kind of turquoise dots. This is vintage music paper from 1935. And then the center of the book, I made a fun little double pocket out of this beautiful elephant paper, pink elephant paper, backed with more of this pretty kind of pink nighttime themed scrapbook paper. And I just love how it looks when the book lays flat open, because the two elephants are facing each other and it's just so regal and so lovely. Where the signature is sewn in, I dangled some cool upcycled thrifted jewelry finds. So kind of a vintage pink pearl earring dangle. I absolutely love that cluster. It has so much texture and movement. And then a pink mother of pearl earring dangle. And for vegan reasons, I don't purchase mother of pearl new because I don't want to support the cultivation of shells. If you find a seashell on the beach and it's empty and it's not occupied and it's not hurting anybody, I think it's perfectly fine to pick up that seashell. But I have read that sometimes for the craft industry, they will basically drag nets along the ocean floor to pick up shell creatures, and that's not ahimsa, that's not cruelty free, so I wouldn't support that industry. But when pieces like this appear in jars of jewelry that I thrift for craft purposes, I feel that it's okay to make use of them because it's not supporting that industry. But just to put that out there, if you ever buy one of my books and you're not comfortable with something that I've used in the materials, like the upcycled shell, just send me a note and I can replace that with something different, you know, maybe just some pink plastic beads, or you know, you can cut it off yourself if you buy it and do with it what you will. But yeah, inside these pockets, I just put some little fun crafty goodies. So this one has a folded up piece of coffee dyed graph paper. That would make a really cool addition to any collage. Like, just to give you some ideas, how fun would it be? You could glue it to a page like this. Oops, where's our bottom here? There it is. Glue it to a page like this and have it be like a tuck spot that also flips down. I've done that with things like this in the past. But like I said, when I make these books, I try to leave room for whoever buys it to get creative and do their thing. I put a really pink flower, really pretty pink flower ring. Look at the patina on the copper. Like, you can tell it's got some age to it. But I love that little flower. I almost wore this for the flip through as the ring that I give away with this book, but I went with something else instead, so that got clipped in, and it still looks really cool. Oops. And in this pocket, did I put something in there or did I forget? Oh no, I did. I put something in. This pocket has a really cute little print I found of a little boy and a little girl, pretty as a princess in her little pink dress with her little pink bow. And I love all the other little kids you can see in the background. It was just a fun picture. Inked a little bit around the edges so you can use that as a journaling card. And then we have the other sides of all those papers. So this was kind of fun. I cut a peacock from that same scrapbook page that I found these elephants and turned that into just a double tuck spot and printed some beautiful miniaturized, like I scaled these down from A4 size to mini journal cards, that they're samples of vintage French wallpaper. and I thought they just look so beautiful in here. I love the colors pink and blue together. There's the other piece of that coffee dyed paper that turned out so well. There's a pink French stamp that looks really cool there. Some tassel trim on this coffee dyed pink paper. A fabric flip using some really stunning beaded pink sari fabric. This is kind of a fun one. This paper I turned into a pocket using this gorgeous pink sari trim. Lots of space to journal here and also space to tuck something into the pocket. What I've tucked in is a sample of vintage kind of light pink lace. So yeah, that would be fun to make into a pocket or again to use in collaging or something. It also just adds some nice dimension to the page. And then on this side in the pocket, I put a sample of vintage pattern paper for sewing that looks pretty cool. It's just fun to have different textures of paper in a book like this. And then a simple little journal card that I made with just gluing together a couple of pieces of leftover scrapbook paper. I try not to waste anything, so when I print something out to use as a page, I do save the scraps and just make them into little fun things like this. There's the other side of the mineralogical book page. The other side of that Japanese or Chinese character page. You could use that as a pocket. I'll put another Sri Lankan train ticket into there just for fun. The other side of the cherry blossom page. Another piece of that pretty sari trim. Lots of journaling space here. I adore this stamp with kind of a castle. Actually, no, there's no castle in this one, is there? But just really beautiful mountains and trees, and of course in that pink and pinky purple color palette. I made a miniature envelope with a pink crystal, why am I losing my words now? A pink crystal wax seal. And I stuffed that little envelope with some fun pink stickers. I love how it shows you Paris and London. So yeah, just fun watercolor origami stickers and some absolutely gorgeous gilded flower stickers. So imagine how pretty these would be decorating your book. I was going to go ahead and stick these stickers down to decorate some of the pages, but then decided instead I would just make a little envelope so that, again, whoever buys the book can make those creative choices, make the book really their own. The page I stuck that onto is the other side of that 1961 craft magazine. And then the paper clip I stuck them into has amethyst, rose quartz, and garnet. So if you're one of my regular viewers, you'll know that I love to include natural crystals and gemstones in all of my junk journal projects because next to journal making, my other life's passion is crystal healing and making talismans and making jewelry. That's why I'm always wearing a lot of crystal bracelets and crystal rings. So this one was inspired by a ring that my Auntie Mary Lynn gave me for my birthday a few years ago that has pink kunzite, garnet, and amethyst. And I just loved the color combination of pink and a dark red and a purple. So this one is, yeah, amethyst, garnet, and rose quartz. Of course, rose quartz because of the pretty pink princess theme. So it is a pretty pink gemstone. But as far as crystal healing goes, what rose quartz is used for is healing the emotional body, overcoming traumatic experiences, healing from heartbreak, developing deeper unconditional love, and also attracting relationships. So romantically, it helps draw in the right partner and express love to the right partner. And even when it comes to friendship, it helps smooth out differences that you might encounter with friends, smooth out family interactions, and just generally love more deeply. So rose quartz is a very sweet stone. Amethyst is a higher chakra energy gem. It resonates with the crown chakra. So again, princess themed crown chakra. It's a little on the nose, but sometimes we're allowed to be literal with our themes, right? So crown chakra is all about opening to cosmic guidance, higher intuition, universal energies, channeling spirit. And by spirit, I don't mean anything evil. I mean your angels, your guides, your loved ones, whatever word you might put to God. So God, universe, divine energy. And then garnet, unlike the crown, which is like our highest inner chakra, garnet resonates with the root, which is our lowest inner chakra, where we connect with Mother Earth. And that's all about physical health, vitality, stamina, energy, practicality, doing what needs to be done to be financially secure and taken care of and active and vibrant in the world. So yeah, those are the 3 crystals you get with this journal. And of course, they're also on a jump ring, so you could take this off the paper clip and wear it as a piece of jewelry if you choose to. But I think there's something nice about keeping crystals in our journals, because then the journal becomes something more than just a utilitarian piece that you write in and draw in. It becomes a sacred space for you. The other piece of that book page from Versailles. The other piece of that 1960s ledger. So cool, right? I put just a pretty pink sticker to decorate it. It is a washi sticker though, so that means you could peel it up and re-stick it somewhere else without damaging the paper or the sticker. So I did decorate that page with a sticker, but it's removable, so whoever buys the book could choose to do something different with it. This page has a fabric flip. It's another sheet of that French vintage playbook. I love this piece of vintage fabric. This came in one of my scrap fabric bundles that I purchased when I was new to junk journaling, before I discovered the joy of thrifting and antiquing to find my own fabrics. I went to Etsy and bought some fabric scraps from other crafters. And yeah, that one just goes perfectly in this book. And then a little sari trim tab with little pretty pink flowers to go with these little pretty flowers. That's just a broken earring piece, but it looks like some nice pink crystal. Another sari trim tab. The other side of that vintage Sears wallpaper. Okay, this is a fun piece. So this little clip, I think it's a scarf clip. I found it in a jar of junk jewelry, and you'll hear me say that in every journal flip because I am addicted to buying junk jewelry jars and figuring out how to upcycle and give new life to old jewelry pieces. When I bought it, or when I found it in a jar, the center was blank. Like there was no pink gem there. It was just really scratched up, kind of ugly, kind of blackened metal where obviously something had once been glued. So I set it aside and I wasn't sure what I would do with it, but I love the border on that piece. It's just gorgeous. And then in another scrap jar, I came across from a whole other store this big pink rhinestone, and it did have a couple of scratches on the foil on the back, but I think that's okay. It's still beautiful, and synchronistically it just fit this frame perfectly. Like you'd think it was made to go there. So I've used that kind of like a paper clip to hold this page together. This is the other side of that other piece of Indian hand-printed khadi paper with just stunning pink and purple flowers. I love that paper so much. Lots of nice light pink journaling space in the middle. I put a snippet from a vintage book about flowers into it. These would look lovely made into journal cards or cut up to use in your collage. I don't know how you could cut it though, because there's pretty pictures on both sides of the paper. So yeah, you could even just keep it as it is and take little jot notes in the white space. So that's also clipped in along with a little journal card of this beautiful Indian princess with a swan. It's from an old fairy tale from India, and there's lots of lotuses blooming around her. Her sari could either be red or pink or something in between, but the pink lotuses are just so pretty. And I inked the edges to make it look a little bit more vintage, but this would be a great place to write in your journal. And yeah, you could use this clip anywhere you want, but I just thought it looks cool here because when the book is closed, it kind of sticks out a little bit, and then that balances all the baubles hanging from the center with something pretty hanging on the other side too. I try to give some visual balance to my work. And that brings us to the end. There's the other side of that player piano paper. And then the back pocket is identical to the front pocket, still lined with that coddy paper. I put some pink tickets. Again, these look lovely in collages, or to decorate happy mail, or to just glue down as text spots, or use as a bookmark. Like, where there's paper, there's something to do with it. And I made just a cute little scrappy scrapbook using some of the remnants from papers, like some of the leftover scrapbook paper, leftover book page. So yeah, this would be a great place to write. What I do with these little scrappy books is I write my internet passwords in them and then hide them in my junk journals. So that way I always know I've got my passwords written somewhere, but nowhere near my laptop. And then just a fun little coffee dyed. I'm gonna change all my passwords and put them somewhere different now after putting it out there on the internet, but that's what I used to do with those kinds of little scrappy books. You can also use them for email addresses, or put this in your purse and take it somewhere with you if you want to do some journaling on a little road trip or at a cafe, but you don't want to risk damaging a journal if you know you're going to be out where it might get roughed up a bit. And yeah, this page is really fun. It's just a piece of really nice artist paper that I coffee dyed using paisley stencils. So yeah, just another fun little extra tucked into the book. But there you have it, the pretty pink princess. I think she's lovely. I don't always gravitate towards really girly things or really pink things, but just every once in a while, I see the color pink and it makes me happy because it is just such a pretty, happy color. And I think it really goes well with this time of year when the spring flowers have started blooming. And I hope you had fun with me looking through this little book. If you choose to buy it, it will be listed in my Etsy shop today at the same time that I publish the video. My apologies if you hop over to Etsy and try to buy it. If it's not listed in my shop, that means it has already sold. But I've challenged myself to make a new journal every single week, so don't worry if it's gone. There will be more journals to come. And last but not least, the ring that is the gift with purchase with this journal. And pardon the little cat scratches on my hand. I was playing with my kitty earlier and she got me. But yeah, the ring with purchase is a tiara. A tiara. So it's made in rose gold plated metal, and it has these pretty little faux diamonds, and I found it while out thrifting. It was not in a jewelry jar. I did pay a little bit more for this than the jewelry jar jewelry, but the rose gold is like a pink gold. And of course, every princess deserves a crown. So if you buy this little book, here is your crown. You can wear it as a reminder that you are precious, you are royal, you are beautiful, and you got this. Or you can, of course, clip it into your book and keep it as part of the journal because it goes so well with the theme, if I do say so myself. But yeah, that's it. I hope you had so much fun with the flip through. I hope it inspires you to get crafty or get journaling. And if you choose to hop over to my Etsy shop and buy the book, just thank you so much for supporting my crafty passion. I appreciate it. I also appreciate likes, comments, and subscriptions because that helps my channel grow with this YouTube algorithm. And I'll also put a link to my Etsy jewelry shop if you're interested in crystal and gemstone talismans. Anyhow, have a wonderful rest of your day. So much love to you, and bye for now.